The Walt Disney Company is doubling down on dumb. Star Wars has been an absolute abject failure for the company for the past few years. Yet more money is flowing to Dave Filoni. Oh my gosh, can you believe it? Phony baloney Filoni is going to get Ahsoka Season 2. That according to sources. And not only that, it seems the decision was made in the last few weeks. Hello folks, welcome back to another video of excellence here on the WDW Pro channel. We keep you ahead of the culture curve. We do it by explaining entertainment and letting you know what's really going on in Hollyweird. Well, there's not much going on there right now because of the strikes, but that does not stop them from making bad decisions, especially the Walt Disney Company. Peltz and Perlmutter, they may be riding to the saving the company, but they're not there yet. Joining us, though, someone who is here is Spencer of Bounding into Comics. Spencer, we're so glad to have you back again.
I'm always happy to be here, Pro, especially when it comes to talking about Disney's awful financial decisions.
Well, you just really can't understand it, Spencer. Let me give an analogy to folks out there before we dive into the content for today. Imagine for a moment that you had an ETF. So that's like having a mutual fund, but not quite exactly the same. But imagine that you had an ETF that was investing in all kinds of different stocks for you. This is not a financial advice channel, though. But imagine that you had that, okay? And imagine that your ETF was doing very, very poorly. Well, you might say to whoever is managing your portfolio and investing in that ETF, you might say, let's stop doing that. But that doesn't seem to be what is happening with the Walt Disney Company, right? They have a broker. Her name is Kathleen Kennedy, and she is telling them to invest more and more into the Star Wars ETF, let's say, and it is not returning anything beneficial to Disney, apparently. In fact, I would say that at this point, Star Wars is being subsidized by the Walt Disney Company. That's how badly I think this is going. We'll show it all to you folks, and we start right now. Going to Spencer's website, well, it's not his, he doesn't own it, but he works there significantly and does a great job. Bounding into Comics. Now, this one is by John Trent, friend of the channel. Ahsoka Season 2, not locked yet. Now, folks, we're not going to read this article. It's from October 6th, but we needed the headline and we needed the date. And if you'd like to read it, and we suggest you do, click on the link down in the description below. But we needed to say this because John does absolute phenomenal work. We believe basically what John says. Spencer, this shows that just 3 or 4 weeks ago, Season 2 for Ahsoka was not greenlit yet. Fair to say?
Oh, absolutely fair to say. And I think even if you're not completely, if you don't have insider knowledge, I think you could have guessed that just by, looking at Ahsoka's ratings, at the social media chatter. It was non-existent. Ahsoka was definitely not the big hit Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy, Lucasfilm, any of them were hoping for.
Okay, Spencer, then what I want you to do before we go to the inevitable, folks out there know the doom that is coming, right? Disney doesn't apparently. Disney doesn't know, but they all know. But we will do it at a high level of analysis, folks. You're going to get some stuff that you would not hear anywhere else, we believe. Else, why would we do this? But Spencer.
Right, that's why you come here to the Pro Show. That's
right. Spencer, and Bounding into Comics. Walk us through the bad time that Ahsoka has had with ratings. How bad has it been?
Oh, the ratings for Ahsoka have just been absolutely abysmal. Not only have the ratings for Ahsoka been way worse than the Mandalorian Season 3 finale from the get-go, but it has been blown out of the water by almost everything else that's been on streaming services, whether it's a classic old, or not classic, but a long-running show like Suits, which always dominates Netflix, Bluey over at Disney, or if you want to look at one of its contemporary peers, Ahsoka came out at the same time as Netflix's One Piece series, and according to the Nielsen numbers, and they're really, disingenuous, obfuscating watch time number metric that they like to use now, in the same time period that Ahsoka had 2 episodes out and One Piece had its 8 episodes out, One Piece got about like 2 to 4 times as many views, the entire series, than those 2 episodes of Ahsoka. People were going back, people were rewatching. People obviously want good entertainment, but it's not coming out of Star Wars. And I think not starting to see it, where we're seeing it continually plummet.
Right. We have been at the bottom of the barrel. Somebody pulled out a drill to see if there are any barrels in the floor below us. But Spencer, I'll let everybody behind the scenes when it comes to YouTube and YouTube strategy.
Absolutely.
When it comes to making YouTube content, in the first 10 seconds, you convince audiences that they want to stick with you. Then again, at the 60-second mark, you've got to convince people. By the 6-minute mark, we've got to convince folks. And so it's my turn to convince you to stay with us. Folks, here's how bad it is, in case you want to know the perspective we have. Saturday Night Live, which many consider to be a shade, a shadow of its former self. Many consider it to be just flat out a dead show at this point. It tripled with its most recent season debut. It tripled the ratings for Ahsoka's debut. Star Wars was once the biggest franchise on the planet. Now, what does that say about Star Wars when what most believe to be a dead show is tripling its ratings?
And I mean, to add even worse context to that, for Star Wars, it's worse. That debut episode of SNL, the host was Pete Davidson, and their big joke of the night was a parody of the Ken musical number from Barbie centered on Pete Davidson. So that's the kind of content that we are getting now, that is beating Ahsoka.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look now at what we've got from GameRant. And Spencer, I think you're going to find this fairly fascinating because, folks, when we said that Disney continues to invest into what we consider to be a bad investment, here it is. This is out of GameRant. This came out within the last 24 hours. It's by Sebastian Paris. And it says, Ahsoka Season 2 may have gotten the update Star Wars fans are waiting for. Ahsoka Season 2 is on the wish list of several Star Wars fans, and a recent rumor suggests they may have their hopes rewarded by Lucasfilm. Well, that's just peachy keen, except that I don't think that there is a reason for Disney to do this other than they feel beholden to it. Perhaps Dave Filoni himself has greenlit this. We've got some thoughts. We'll go into it, but let's read the article first. Ahsoka Season 2 has to receive the official green light from Lucasfilm. No, it doesn't. However, a reliable scooper claims the fan favorite Star Wars series will return. Ahsoka Season 1 concluded with its titular hero. I'm so tired of the word titular. Every article we read has the word titular in it. Switch it up, folks.
I have to use it a lot in my articles for Bounding, and it's unfortunate. It's just everybody keeps naming series after the characters, and it's like, can we just give it a title?
That's right. Self-called, prominent. We'll go with those. Stranded in a different galaxy with Sabine Wren. Complicating matters was the return of Grand Admiral Thrawn, the most imbecilic villain we've ever seen. That's my insert. Who managed to escape? Yes, he managed to escape while putting the throttle into paralyzed snail speed. The distant galaxy and return to the primary Star Wars setting, intent on rebuilding the Galactic Empire, which we already know will fail. The tension, folks. But we're not here to deride Ahsoka. We're here to tell you that from a financial standpoint, this show does not seem to have given the returns that you would think would be necessary. In fact, I would say that in any other company, and whether it was streaming or linear, the ratings are such that you would have canceled this show and probably not have went even to the end of it. Ahsoka Season 2, though, according to My Time to Shine, is a go, and My Time to Shine often is on the mark when it comes to these early scoops. Now,
absolutely.
Here's the fascinating thing, Mr. Spencer. What we've got is, yes, Mr. It's Mr. to me. But
Mr. Pro.
I've talked to Josh of the Den of Nerds. He seems to have gotten the same scoop. I have reached out to my contacts, and I have to say that they have come back in the positive. They say that Ahsoka Season 2 has, in fact, been greenlit. We know that this has happened based on your reporting at Bounding Into Comics, based on what we're hearing now. This has come in the last 3 weeks. Now, Spencer, there are a couple of things to break down here. Number one, we are currently in the middle of a Hollywood strike. That means that there is no work being done on this. So it is greenlit in name only. We also know that Nelson Peltz and Ike Perlmutter are working very hard to come onto the Disney board and that they do not agree with Disney's direction. One would assume they think that you should make money, and Ahsoka did not. That's the best we can tell on this. You have to assess these streaming shows based on did they grow subscribers. Well, when you don't have ratings, when you can't make it on the top 10 overall on Nielsen, and when Samba TV says you're pulling in a third of SNL, I don't see how that's an ROI that's worth the investment. But all of that said, Spencer, it's greenlit for now. That doesn't mean that it will happen. And the reason I say that is because I think that surely, wiser minds will prevail here and step in and say, there's nothing to be had. But I do have a counter position to that in just a moment. I want your thoughts on that first, though.
Yeah. So So in terms of greenlighting Ahsoka Season 2 and actually, moving forward with it, I think what you were saying earlier is pretty on point. They're too invested at this point. I think it's almost doubling down. We did Ahsoka. We can't go back on Ahsoka. We have to show them that Ahsoka is the product that we're putting all our bets on. More Ahsoka, more Filoni, blah, 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 blah.
Right, because what are you going to do if they don't do that,
I mean, you're gonna have another, what was it, a gap year of no Star Wars, 2 Star Wars, or 2 years without Star Wars, which
throw away the movie,
enjoy.
Right? Because they got to get that movie out. Got to get the movie out.
Well, that was going to be my next point. Is if they're going forward with Ahsoka, that just means the future of Star Wars is clearly being made into the Filoni-verse. And we all know that as much as Filoni likes to claim he's the successor to George Lucas, he definitely is not. So if you're not liking the current direction of Star Wars, and this is different almost than Kathleen's division of Star Wars, right? Because this is Filoni's little pet project. But if they give him the full reins to it, you're going to get more space whales, more incompetent villains, more zombie stormtroopers. And I don't think it's not going to do well for their ratings. Everybody's already sick of Ahsoka and Star Wars. Giving them more of that is only going to appeal to the 3 hardcore Filoniites who still exist.
So let me throw you an option here, Spencer. Let's say that Disney wants to save face. Okay. Now, if I'm Disney and if I am determined to put out a Mandoverse movie and I'm determined to do it within a particular timeline, and I'm stuck with what just happened, which is a critically devastated Ahsoka show, which was solely written by my creative lead at a major studio. So it's not like it was written by somebody that we brought on board. This is an in-house person that we assess to be the top of the top. Okay, and this person has failed
this
dramatically.
Was almost like their counter to the way Marvel does everything, because we just know with Daredevil Born Again's cancellation, Marvel is switching up their TV production. Previously, they didn't have showrunners. They just greenlit things. They paid money for the things, and they cobbled things together in editing. So I almost feel like giving Ahsoka squarely to Filoni was Disney's attempt to go, look, we can still do showrunner shows. This is what you want, right? And it still didn't work out because Filoni is already it's Filoni fan fiction at this point.
And the problem, Spencer, is that when you have a showrunner, fair enough. The problem is if the showrunner is one of your high-level executives at a studio and the project fails, then the emperor has no clothes. And now everybody knows it.
True.
Everybody, the belief in Filoni has dropped precipitously. Okay, but here's how you could fix it, right? So let's all pretend we're going to do like Lorne Connor, and we love Lorne.
Lorne.
What Lorne does all the time is he says, if they're doing this, then, and we always know that they're really not, and even Lorne knows that, but we try to figure out how you would get out of this situation, right? If you were the one who tied your shoes together into the most massive knot, how can you get walking again? Here's how we think they could without canceling. If they were going to do an Ahsoka Season 2, I would recommend, Spencer, that they bring in a team of writers. And I would recommend that they write this show. You could have Filoni be over that in name and in title, but I would hand this up the chain at Disney. I would hand this up the chain because it's that important. Because if this fails, you have no more viable Star Wars stories. Ahsoka, think about it this way. Is anybody excited about The Acolyte? Almost nobody. Are we going to go back to the original trilogy? Doesn't seem like it. Does anybody care about the sequel trilogy? They loathe it. Do we still have Kenobi?
Is anybody excited for Rey's Jedi Order?
No. The sequel trilogy. Good Lord, no. Do we have Boba Fett? Do we have Kenobi? No, you killed both of them with whatever those representations were. Okay. So what you could do, though, to try to save this, is you bring in a team of writers. Filoni sits there on the symbolic throne above them, but you hand it off to somebody higher up and say, please, shepherd this to success. What do you think, Spencer? Is that an option?
I think it is absolutely an option, but I think rather than sending it sort of up the chain at Disney and Lucasfilm, I think to really, really, really save themselves from this, because you're completely right, Mr. Pro, that
Mr. Pro.
once they're now that they've ruined the sort of Filoni verse section of Star Wars, everything is sort of just a disaster now. All of the classic characters are ruined. The new characters nobody likes. The side characters like Ahsoka and Ezra and everybody that we were getting into have effectively been neutered and just embarrassed. I think Disney will have to eat some sort of crow if they really want to save whatever Mando Filoni plans they have. And instead of setting it up the ladder and keeping it internal, you eat crow, you go back to all the writers who've contributed significantly to like the great Star Wars stuff, especially, third party, or not third party, what am I trying to say? Legacy stuff, right?
Yes.
The expanded universe. You get that team of writers. You say, you guys all come in, you all work together. And I think you can keep Filoni, and you do what you said. You keep him as the idea man. You have him sitting at the head of the table going, what about space whales, right? And then you have all the other guys at the table going, okay, Dave, maybe. But what if instead of space whales, they're freighters, and instead of weird mental connections to Ezra, it's a fleet that have somebody guide Filoni's ideas. Because I think it's an overcorrection over at Disney, right? They gave it all to Filoni without any oversight. And that lack of oversight, or rather they gave it to Filoni without oversight from anybody who cares about the continuity, the product, who actually liked Star Wars and doesn't just consider it a job. So I think if they're going to recover, it's going to take a massive amount of humility from Disney, and hopefully Ike Perlmutter and Nelson Peltz can help institute that culture of humility into the top level of Disney, because it's clearly not there anymore, if it ever was. But we'll just have to wait and see.
It's amazing to me. I can't think of any other franchise on the planet that they could make tomorrow. They could make billions and billions and billions of dollars, but their hubris, their pride will not allow them. They would have to throw away.
That really is it. Yep.
It's amazing that if they threw away the sequel trilogy, which would be painful, but if they threw it away and they said, we're going to do a post Return of the Jedi Luke Skywalker show, and just put your toe in that water, you would, that would give up the ghost in terms of they would have to admit that the folks out there who have been critical of them, they're not the fringe. They are right. They are the normal response to what they've done. They would have to
core, right.
Right, but that would be put into the sunlight, but they would make billions and billions of dollars off of such a thing. And they can't do it. So this is no longer based on business. And just like we said with this Ahsoka decision, this isn't based on business, right? They're attempting to make sure they have the possibility of getting to a movie which will likely also fail. And we know that because everything they've been doing has failed. We've shown at the box office that overall Lucasfilm has lost money. Now, they're trying to get to that movie. And they're trying to get to that movie, which is also a bad investment.
Trying. Yeah.
With this bridge, which is Ahsoka Season 2, which is a bad investment, from Ahsoka Season 1, which was a bad investment. We're not here to give you the review. We've done the reviews. We're talking about just ratings. We're just literally talking about the market. And what is amazing to me, Spencer, is that none of these are business decisions in the traditional sense. They are emotional decisions meant to protect the egos of those who run a failed studio. Final thoughts on this?
You took the words right out of my mouth. I think for the last decade or so, probably longer, I'm just being a little generous, we have seen the egos at Disney run everything, whether it's Chapek or Kennedy or Filoni or Feige. I mean, we had a discussion on this channel a couple weeks ago about how Kevin Feige, even though Jon Favreau was shepherding the MCU excellently. All those movies were great under Jon Favreau. Then Feige kind of angled him out or edged him out, and now we have the marketing verse, right? The marketing cinematic universe, where everything is just another link up for the next TV show, for the next product. Yeah, it is ego, and it's honestly, at the end of the day, it's baffling, because this is you're looking at a titan. If we step away from just the entertainment and everything, the things we love, the products and IPs they own, this is a titan of business. Disney owns they have, hands in everything, all different industries. They're a backbone of like America's economy. And yet we have actively seen them act like petulant children over things they didn't need to double down or fight this hard on. Gone are the days where somebody can just go, yeah, I made a really bad movie. We screwed up. Let's try again. Let's listen to some feedback. Nowadays, it is me against you, and everything is put on your personal reputation. That's why with like Kathleen Kennedy, she can't just make a bad movie and go, we made a bad movie. Let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what didn't work. She has to go, I didn't make a bad movie. Everybody else is being unfair to it. Everybody else is being ist and phobist to it. And it's just amazing to see just a giant corporate business turn into an 8-year-old child who's not getting their way.
Spencer, there's a children's book that I think back to called Henry's Awful Mistake. And for any of you out there who have seen this book, you can also, you can go find this and buy it. It's great for kids. It teaches something that Lucasfilm needs to know. Spencer, do you know this book? Henry's
I know it not off the top of my head. I've read it probably like once or twice to a nephew, so I'll let you take the summary.
Henry's Awful Mistake is about a duck, because children's books are often about anthropomorphized animals, and so but it's a duck, and he is preparing a dinner for his date. She's going to come over, and they're going to have a very lovely meal. And Henry sees an ant, and that imperfection in Henry's date plans results in him taking a hammer and trying to kill the ant. And he misses, and he hits the wall, and the ant goes in the wall, and Henry begins to smash the rest of the wall, trying to get through the sheetrock to the ant. This is a children's book, by the way, with great illustration. And Henry is unsuccessful. Yeah. He's got to kill the ant. And it shows the compounding results of bad decisions over time, the avalanche of not stopping and reverting and going back, right? That's the idea of repentance, right? What Henry should have done is repented of this decision. He should have recognized that there's some degree of imperfection in his life, and his date will be fine with it. He should have patched up the sheetrock. He should have, put the hammer away. But instead, he continues and continues until he hits a water pipe and destroys his home, floods the house, right? And it's this very cool little, graphic of him being floated out of the house on his couch. Very cute, very cute. Lucasfilm execs never learned this, because they have yet to realize that when you make a grave mistake, you can't double down on it. Because once you go in the wrong direction, and everybody who's ever gone on a road trip knows this, once you go in the wrong direction, going in that direction even farther does not get you closer to the destination. It only moves you farther away. So Lucasfilm, don't be like Henry. Turn around, go back, and get moving in the way that you would like to go. You will not get fans doing dumb. And Disney has done dumb plenty. All right, Spencer, you guys are the antithesis of Disney's dumb decisions. So tell us all about what you've got going on the web for you and for Bounding into Comics.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, thank you for having, or Mr. Pro, thank you for having me as always. I love being here. Chat, watchers, viewers, thanks for, listening to us, spending your time with us. You can find me personally on Twitter at Kabuto Writer Mav. You can also find me on YouTube at Studio Kabuto. As for Bounding into Comics, obviously check us out every day on boundingintocomics.com. We're always putting up articles. There's always something new to talk about. So check us out. You can also check us out on Twitter at Bounding Comics, and you can also find us on YouTube at Bounding into Comics 1, I believe is the URL. So check us out there for your daily dose of news. And yeah, obviously that Park Place, which I'm sure Mr. Pro over here will promote.
Absolutely, folks. ThatParkPlace.com, as well as That Park Place, the YouTube channel, skyrocketing up the charts. And folks, don't be just spooked by the Lucasfilm results. No, get out there and have a good time today if you celebrate Halloween. We hope that you are safe and that all the kids in your life are eating plenty of candy. Remember, as Wilford Brimley says, diabetes does not happen on this one day. No, he did not say that, but he should have. Get out there and have a good time. All right, folks, it is a wrap here, but it's not a wrap where you are. Drop a comment down below. Let us know your thoughts. We covet your comments. We care about what you think. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, and you have one. Waste it not. Also, like, share, subscribe, and when you click it, you stick it to the algorithms. It's the notification bell. The Pro Show is this Thursday, as always, live, 5 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. We have an awesome panel coming back. We've got Carrie Smith and more joining us. Oh, Derek Anderson also for the first time on the Pro Show live. So, folks, make sure you're there. We will continue to explain entertainment and keep you ahead of the culture curve. Hollyweird can't stand it, but we can't stop. Wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, eat candy, and keep having fun.
News.
This is Wilton the Troll reporting for That's Park Place, and I'm surrounded by loving and adoring people who are peacefully trying to make sure that poor kids aren't cold in the winter. And just behind me, you can see a totally natural bonfire for baking cookies or making marshmallows.
Yeah, so, Wilson, we really appreciate the effort and stuff, but we're looking for real and, accurate news reporting on that Park Place.
So not like most news outlets, huh?
No.